This is John Dowler of Prayer Builders in Winona, Minnesota. Right now, we are in First Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 19. What is our hope or joy or crown of rejoicing? He says, what is it? He says, what is it? He says, right now, he's saying, what is it that is that word hope means joyful, confident expectation. Paul was saying, what is my expectancy? He said, what is my expectancy, or what is my crown of rejoicing? What is something that is in connection to a crown I may receive, a crown of rejoicing? He said, what is it that's driving me? This was what was driving him. Verse 19, the last half, he says, is it not even you in the presence of our Lord Jesus at his coming? Now, at the end of every one of my lessons, you always hear me talking about Jesus coming back. And I'm telling you right now, Jesus is coming back for his church. He is coming back for his church. And this was a huge priority to the Apostle Paul. For those of you that just think you're going through the tribulation and we're going to be killed, like it says back in Matthew chapter 24, when Jesus spoke that in Matthew chapter 24, most of what, I've got other teachings on that, but most of what he spoke at that time was being spoken. There were three different questions Jesus answered in Matthew 24. And Jesus, we are going to be saved from wrath. We had already covered this in chapter 1 and verse 10. We had covered that here. But Paul said, what was his crown of rejoicing? What was going to result in a reward for him? And he said, is it not even you in the presence of our Lord with Jesus Christ at his coming? Basically, he's talking about the rapture. Paul was saying, there is a reward at stake. I am expecting that you are going to go when Jesus comes. And when Jesus comes back for his church, you're going to be in his presence. You're going to be translated. This corruption is going to be put on incorruption. You are going to be transformed in a moment, in a twinkling of an eye, just like that, and you are going to be in his presence. And it's going to happen. You're going to be there forever once that happened. Paul, this was a huge motivator for his ministry. And that's why it's so powerful. That's why I was led to go through 1 Thessalonians 1 and 2, or 1 Thessalonians, and 2 Thessalonians, because these two books are all about end-time events. If you want to understand end-time events, and if you want to know about the rapture of the church that takes place before the tribulation, you need to study these doctrines of Paul. He had crystal clear revelation on this. And Peter said his revelation was hard for some people to understand, and they were wrestling with all these scriptures. Well, what you have to do, there's certain principles you need to straighten your theology out, so that the scriptures don't wrestle anymore. But Paul was saying right here, he said this was his crown of rejoicing. This was his expectancy. This was his motivator, that people were going to go with Jesus when he came back. So with that being said, I'm wanting to tell you right now, that no matter what is taking place, no matter what you see happening, I am going to remind you, we need to, no matter what's going on in this earth, lift up your head. You need to constantly be looking. You need to constantly be looking. You need to be on the lookout. Jesus could come at any time. He could come at any time, and I believe he is coming soon.